Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's the Mac. Welcome back to the continuation here, Wargame Design Studios Napoleonic Battles. Been covering them in chronological order, and now it's time for campaign Eylau. So we're going to be jumping into that. I'm going to showcase you this particular title and what comes with it. I want to thank Wargame Design Studio for getting me a review copy of the game. And we're going to dive into this sucker and have a look. So, campaign Eylau is actually it's a pretty big title actually. It's covering almost 2 years of 1.5 maybe of Napoleon's career as he goes into Poland and fights the remaining Prussians that escaped. And the Russians, the huge Russian army there from Bennigsen in command of that. So the title has Eylau and Friedland, two huge battles that actually were sort of decisive of that conquest for Napoleon. And he's like solidified his complete control as emperor of Europe. And, he sort of had defeated all opposition by that time. So we're going to have a look at this. This game has surprisingly few battles, core battles, but there is apparently some campaigns that have hundreds of scenarios embedded in them. So this is a pretty extensive title actually. There's a lot of stuff in this. So we're going to be looking at some of these documentations and stuff that comes with it. We're not going to do any playing on this. This is like I usually do an introduction and sort of have a go through the game, what comes with it, and have a look at some maps and battles, and just basically talk about the game. And then the next part, we're going to choose something, and we're going to be playing that. So part 2 is going to be one of these battles that we're going to try to duke out. So it's been a while since I played Napoleonic battles, actually. I've been sort of deep diving into pantsing campaigns again. I've been playing a lot of the new titles that come from Wargame Design Studio. So especially Poland 39 Man, it was just recently released. Such a great title. But we're going to go back to Napoleonic battles here, man. So a lot of stuff that comes with the game. The notes are not so much a history lesson. It's basically talking a lot about how this game came about and that the designer that made this game, let's see if I can find his name, well, I should have looked that up before, but anyway, he talks a lot about that this was a daunting task and he wasn't really sure. It was a campaign that he didn't know much about when he started researching it, but he really got into it, and he's had some help from different people. So the inventory, he goes through that mostly in this. There's some talk about parameter data, the scope of the work. So yes, it's 86. 06 to 07, the Polish campaign had many dynamics to it, and what was the siege of Danzig, the intervention of the Sweden in the Swedish Pomeria, and the possibility that Danzig held out on the Austrian army to the southwest, and could have intervened. So he chose to stick to the historical battles in Poland and leave out the siege situations, pass on the small actions in the Swedish Pomeria, and avoid including the Austrians and adding in the additional 50 to 70 images as a result. So he's basically focusing a lot on the Napoleonic battle. Napoleon's battle versus the Russians in this one, and some Prussian action as well. So yeah, I like it. It's good. This is it's the most important ones. So he's talking about designing of the work of the divisions. So there's a lot of mostly sort of information about the scope of the work here. So it's not that much. Other than that comes with the separate files that's in the game. So they have a good getting started battle. This is always advice for people to play that try these games out. The getting started is really is always good. You get the grand overview of the game. You basically know how to move and fight and to sort of touch and go on artillery and cavalry and stuff. But if to get the meat of that information, you have to go into the manual and read it. And there's also nowadays they published an article on the Wargame Design Studio page some time ago, and that's always included now in the new version. This documentation here. It says Introduction to the VDS Napoleonic Battle Series. It's 107 pages long, man. So it's very extensive, but it really, if you read this, you basically know how to play. How to think in the Napoleonic tactics and battles and stuff. This really is a deep dive into how to use your units and fight, and what to think of, where to place your guns, how to hold your lines, how to have a defense in depth, very, very good documentation. But it's 107 pages, so it's quite to read, but very good. Really, really recommend it. The user manual is actually not as daunting as in, let's say, for squad battles or panzer campaigns and stuff. This is over 200 pages these days, but it's 110 pages, so it's quite there's not that much to keep track of. It's very easy as well to just click if you find something you want to look up, and they also have the search option to search for keywords and stuff. So user manual is really good to look things up fast, if you are sort of lost and don't know what to do. There's also lots of other good stuff that comes with this game. I could just show you in this the menu program that they have. I recommend you get this if you have many of the titles in the Wargame Design Studio. You have all your games here, and you can just quickly go to all the documentations as well. So obviously they have the main program, the campaign, and they have this changes file. Let's open that. I think it might not be different from what we saw in my last. I don't think they have made anything new, but the patch is 409.2 now. So they made lots of enhancements. These are the enhancements, and they have fixed a lot of bugs and stuff. So they constantly update these games. So and they really take criticism from the community and do something about it, and do the changes fast. So this is good read if I'm not up to speed on what the latest patches are and stuff. I think I might have opened the rest. So they have these are really nice as well. They have these the armies of the campaign, Eylau-Friedland. They have, so they sort of go in depth of all the uniforms and the different kind of infantry forces they have, cavalry. All this is all the uniforms basically in this. What the soldiers look like during these fights and these battles campaigns. So I like that. It's really nice. They also have this the battle campaign, the battles of campaign Eylau-Friedland. So this document gives the players a CEF, an overview of the 22 battles included in the game. So there's 22 main battles in the game. So a battlefield map, historical briefing about the battle, and the sizes of each side are listed to help players get to know the background of each battle. The strength value is also included, variant forces that may appear in the alternate versions of the scenarios. For some of the battles, a larger reference map has been added for the briefing. So these are the battles, man. So as you can see, it starts the winter campaign of 06. This is when they cross into Poland, basically, and the Russians actually tried to make it like a counterattack. Bennings, he tried to go to attack first, but Napoleon had his different corps systems spread out, and they were on the retreat because the Russians really had a huge army there. I think it was like 75,000 or something. It was a huge army, and as you know, the corps of Napoleon were often divided up to like 15,000 to 20,000 men in each corps, but he was using them to combine them. He was using sort of maneuver warfare that he would, converge on the enemy with different corps to sort of, surround and get sort of strategic advantage on the battlefield with different kind of corps systems that were sort of independent. So that was, Napoleon's unique way of fighting. Anyway, so they all these are sort of the advance and in the counterattacks of the Russians, and then Napoleon. Let's see if we get a map going here. It's no good map, but like, I wonder if there's like, yeah. Oh, look at this. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, these are really good as well. I'm gonna go. Actually, these are better to have open. So let's go back to this. So as you can see, they have an in-depth of all the battles with maps and information. So really, really helpful documentation that. And they also have, we're going to go into these situation maps later on, but you have to continue this. Yeah, so let's just go to this Friedland scenario and campaign list introduction. So they have a sort of an explanation, because if you go into the game, you will see all this kind of stuff. H1, head, HT, H, that means head-to-head, solo. So, you know, this kind of different, there's an H there, that's historical usually. They have versions, LS, you know, what the hell is all that? So that stuff is actually explained in this documentation here, what all this means. As you can see, LS, later start, 1D, 1ST, it says day of the battle, 2D, second day, so first day of the battle. Variants, different kind of variants, these with the V. Head-to-head, head-to-head means head is meant to be playing versus a human opponent, actually not scripted versus the AI. Solo is a scripted scenario to play versus the computer. So they have this to explain, you know, and they also have the campaign list. So there's actually 4 campaigns that comes with the game. Let's see here. So if I open this, you have, this is how you open the campaigns, and you can start new ones. And these are the campaigns. So they have I've gone over this in previous Let's Plays, the big debate between the 15-minute turns and the 10-minute turns. There's been like a big debate about that, and they sort of, you know, met the players halfway and, you know, made different versions. So there's 15-minute versions, so there's 10-minute versions, turns. So what that means, you know, I forgot about it now, but it was like a big debate. It was whether, you know, how I think it sort of has its ground in the way that the battle progresses, the fluency of the battle, basically. So some people think that, you know, the 15 minutes are too long to portray the actual, you know, the flow of the battle, and something 10 minutes is more accurate. So you know, so they sort of made different versions of it. So let's see here. Let's just see if I can get this down a bit. Yeah. So they have the 1806-07 Polish campaign, the complete campaign in Poland there. And then they have, you know, divided up the winter campaign, the spring campaign, and then they have the 07 spring Polish. This is a variant apparently. So the spring campaign in Poland had the Russians remained in winter quarters in January. So this is a what if sort of, you know. So very cool. They also have the scenario list for the whole. These are all the scenarios that comes with that particular campaign. So, you know, quite a lot. 07 campaign. So you can see now the depth of the game, that there's more to it than those 22 listed battles, you know. There's quite a lot of scenarios and variations from playing those campaigns. So I would say that would be probably one of the coolest things to do in this case, to play like one of these huge campaigns versus a human opponent. That would be cool. So that documentation is really good. Then they have, let's see, these are the ones that I was talking about. So this is the 06. Yeah, so by this time it was La Grande Armée, Napoleon's La Grande Armée versus Benningsen and Buxhovden. And the Prussians are still around, you know, but they were sort of decimated a lot after the loss of their the previous engagements. But here you can see all the towns, and this is the crossing points of the Vistula River, and the Russian attempt to sort of try to hold the French back. So following the successful campaign against Prussia, Napoleon and the French army continued into Poland. Napoleon intended to establish a Duchy of Warsaw and thus incorporate more men into his army. The Russians, along with L'Estoc's Prussians, assembled along the Vistula to hold back the French army. Warsaw was occupied by the French. Yeah, so they captured and occupied Warsaw. And so they go into more depth here. So the French crossed the Vistula rivers at Thorn. So these scenarios should be portrayed in here somewhere. I think we have to go back to the scenario. I mean, not all the battles are actually portrayed, you know. These are main battles here, but they might be in the let's see, where was it? They might be in the campaigns, you know. They might be. I'm not sure, but they, you know, some of them are not portrayed, but a lot of them are. Where was I? Yeah. So Thorn and north of Warsaw launched attacks on the Russians and the Prussian forces along the Vakra River at Zanono, Borkovo, Kolozob, Sushin, Bizin. The Allies retreated to the northeast. Yeah, so they actually managed to, you know, cross the river there. The Russians and the Prussians just couldn't hold them back. So, and they, as the 06 advanced, they advanced to Golmin and Pultusk. Following crossing the Vakra River, the French army plodded along through the mud and find the Russians drawn up at Pultusk and Golmin. Lanz outnumbered 5th Corps and attached cavalry and 3rd Corps infantry were no match for the forces of Bennigsen had on the Allies near the city. Landsmen were repulsed eventually with great loss. Yeah, so in this campaign, the French actually took some huge casualties, man. I mean, this was a very costly campaign for Napoleon because the forces he was facing were pretty determined and a lot. The Russian army was huge. And with some very, very bloody engagements here. Not to say the least of Eylau. Eylau was like a massacre. We'll go into that later on. But so, you know, this is really good. They have all this to follow the campaign. So really good. And then they have that for that's the 06, 07. And they have the spring of 07. So this was after Eylau, and it would be the actually, let's see if it would be the Battle of Friedland. Yeah, so yeah, the Friedland here. And the subsequent pushing out the, yeah, this is actually the map of the Friedland battle here. So Russians came here and the French had some forces here, but they sort of did a good fighting withdrawal, and the Russians formed up here, and as Napoleon reinforcements came in, he had like a huge, that was a mistake to be on the other. They should have not have the river in their back. It's a classic mistake, because if you start losing the battle, there's nowhere to retreat. It's usually just small bridges and stuff, and to try to get like 60,000 or 40,000 men across these bridges would be, with all the equipment and stuff, it's pretty hard. Anyway, so I think the French started their attack through the woods, and they attacked Benning's left wing, and they, you know, this is how they rolled up, and then they did a central attack, and the Russians were, you know, pretty destroyed in this battle. I think they took like 20,000 casualties or something, and the French did take casualties, but nowhere near as much. It was a huge victory for Napoleon, the destruction of the Russian army there. But Eylau was a different matter. That was a very bloody affair. It's almost a Pyrrhic victory for Napoleon, because the French, they had huge casualties in Eylau, and so did the Russians. It was just such a bloody battle, man. It was many mistakes were made, and the weather was lousy. It was snowstorms and stuff, and you know, bad visibilities. I mean, and the Russians really fought tenaciously in that. Artillery played a huge role in that battle. I think the Russians had something like 400 artillery pieces. It was like the biggest ever assembled artillery up to this date. It was like 400 guns, man. I think Napoleon had somewhere around 130, 150 guns. So they were vastly outnumbered when it came to artillery. So the artillery really slaughtered a lot of the French forces as they were attacking these positions, and were caught crossfires and stuff. So it was such a bloody battle, that. So this documentation is really good. They got that, you know, so you can follow it along, the chronological of the battles there. Um, so I went over this. Yes, so the use manual. We have the change log, and we've gone over those. So let's have a look at the game itself. Yes, I did fire up this. Yeah, so we saw the different campaigns. So they have the variation. They have the spring policy. They have the winter. So that is pretty cool. I really like that. It seems like the campaign is like the real meat of this, but they also represent 22 of the major battles here. So let's see if I can get this right. So this particular symbol here, the exclamation mark and the M, I think that symbolizes yeah, that's the 15-minute variant. That's right. It's because it says 15 there. So these are all the 15-minute turn variants, and then they have all the 10-minute variants here. So it's basically the same battles, but in 10 minutes, turn rate. Look at the Eylau. Look at the many versions they have of that. That's insane. So they have all these. I mean, that is so many. It's like, was that 20 scenarios? That's insane. Just covering different versions, yeah, and historical actions of this particular the Battle of Eylau there. So pretty cool. And it goes on here. So I'm going to try to find something to play here. Heilsberg. And then they have Friedland. So this is the historical one. So this is the full battle, 6 o'clock. Let's fire this one up and see what it looks like. You guys can see the graphics as well. Let's just do, yeah. So yeah, here we go. This is the full battle. So actually they already captured Heinrichsdorf here. Is this a variant or is this? It says S. What was S again? Because it seems like it's a bit early. Here we go. SG, a segment of the full battle. Okay, so SG means segment. Okay. S is solo, I would imagine. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, anyway, there's different versions here. The Russians actually came here. So this is actually, what is this? The 14th. Okay, so they skipped the 13th, and the Russians are sort of lined up, and the French are piling in here now, coming in with their reinforcements. They actually had something coming from this way as well. Yeah. So as you can see, it's a pretty big battle map here. It looks really sweet. All the enhancements of the graphics for the latest version. Here you have Lung. And this is the fight for Saltlacher Wald, this woods here. So I guess for the are these fixed? Oh. Wow, this looks tough. Oh, these are fixed here. So yeah, because I would imagine some of these units would be fixed, because otherwise it would be very hard for the French player to quickly form up this battle line here before the Russians attack here. There was actually some fighting going on here. Yeah, they had batteries across the river here as well. These batteries here played a huge part as the French were smashing through here. They were bombarded across the river with these batteries, and it caused a lot of damage on the French forces there. So you have, okay, so you have a huge cavalry force arriving here. Oh, these are cuirassiers. Yeah, these are the heavy quality A, man. Yeah, so that's that battle there. So have a look at the 15-minute turns as well. So Eylau, let's see here. Is there a solo version? There's a solo here. 60 turns, man. Yeah, so yeah, this was yeah, this is bloody, man. So where's the cemetery? It's over here, right? Actually, it's here. Okay, so this is actually, there was actually a huge, like a bloody battle over this cemetery as the French were advancing, but and the Russians were actually occupying this village as well, but they were pushed out. So look at all the guns. Look at these guns, nuts. Yeah, so this is such a meat grinder. This particular battle here. This was going back and forth, man. And the French actually got some reinforcements as well. Yeah, I think these are the ones on the move here. This would be Davout. Yeah. So Davout was coming up to attack the flank here. We also have something over here. So that, yeah, that is Davout's core as well. Okay, so there's actually some sneaky Cossacks here as well. Yeah, so there's lots of units arriving, and there was a cavalry played a huge part in this battle. There was lots of cavalry charges from the French that really got slaughtered, but they also, you know, they pushed deep into the Russian lines and they counterattacked. And look at this, they even have even more guns in the back here. The artillery is insane in this battle. So, pretty cool. Yeah, forgot to showcase the 3D. 3D is cool as well, these games now. Either you play these games in 3D or 2D. I mean, a lot of people actually play them in 2D because you have a way more better sort of overview of the battle. But I think the 3D graphics are, you know, pretty good, considering it's not the main effort from Wargame Design Studio to create nice 3D graphics. I think they still have done a great job. What else? What else? It's lots of famous battles. What's this? Units B and P viewer. So let's see what that is. Look at this. Okay, so you can have a look at. Here we have him, Napoleon. Different kind of icons. All the different kind of icons of the forces. You have the Russians here. You have the Prussians. Cool. It's all there, man. Lots of stuff in the packed in this game, man. A leader review. Okay, so look at that. Wow, look at this. All the leaders. Cool. Wow. Insane, but cool. 3D viewer? What's this? Okay, wow. So you can have a look at the different forces like this as well. These are and these must be their skirmishers attached to them. Yeah, so they have cool different kind of supply wagons, leaders. Yeah, artillery. Cool. Yeah, what else to show before we dive into this sucker play? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens here. Maybe you guys can recommend something. I was thinking, you know, maybe do something early, the advance into Poland. Some of the first engagement there. I'll have a look at the turn rates. I mean, the number of turns and see which one, you know, playable. It's 18 turns looks good. 12 turns looks pretty doable as well. So they have, you know, decent size scenarios here to play. Pick something. Battle of Hof there. The rearguard action at Hof. Be fun to try. So I'm pretty rusty now on. They even have the Eylau solo 60 turns. Was that the one I fired up? Cool. So you can play versus the AI in this. That's a neat one of the bigger battles there. 50-minute turns. Yep. Lots of versions. This is a segment, solo, 6 turns only. You have 42 turns, big, 18. Yeah, so they have different kind of good stat. Lumiten, Spanden, Dappen, Ankendorf, Iceberg. Yes, I'm not sure which one I should play, 10 or 15 turns. Let me know in the comments and stuff what do you think I should try. Yeah, so I think I'm going to wrap this introduction up with this. The thing was, as we saw, the battle. It's actually quite an extensive title for the Napoleonic battles, because they are covering both the battles of Eylau and Friedland. So it is quite a big title. This I would recommend it if you're into Napoleonic battles. It's quite a lot of content in this, and with lots of action going on here. Very interesting part of Napoleon's campaign. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here. We're gonna be next part's gonna be a battle of my choosing, or if you type in the comments something you want me to play, I'll do it. So I want to thank you for watching, man, and let's continue this saga of the Napoleonic battles in chronological order. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next part.